I like holding the microphone in my hand because I don't know, it just feels good. So hi everybody, Njeri here from ONYX Pages. I am here because today I finished Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. This is the first book in the Earth Singer Chronicles. The Earth Singer Chronicles it will be complete as of August 2021. This is the first book. There are, I believe, 4 novels and 3 novellas. So it's a suite of books. It is young adult fantasy with elements of romance and paranormal romance, which, as you know, I don't usually read. I was gifted a copy of this book from Raincoast Books, so thank you very much for this, in 2018. And I got to reading it now because slow reader with other things happening. But you know what? I'm glad that I had the opportunity to read this. Hold on, because the fan on my laptop is going on, which means it's hot. So let me just see if I can give it a little bit of air. I know. Tommy? Okay, there. So yeah, like it was a really wonderful story. So at the beginning, there were a couple things that I was just kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm yet feeling the story just in the first like couple of chapters. There were things I really enjoyed about it, and then there were things I was just like, oh, if this continues, I'm gonna have some difficulties. But it ended very well for me. So what is the story about? Let me just read the inside here. Orphaned and alone, Jasminda lives in a land where cold whispers of invasion and war linger on the wind. Jasminda herself is an outcast in her homeland of Elsira, where her gift of earth song is feared. When ruthless soldiers seek refuge in her isolated cabin, they bring with them a captive, an injured spy who threatens to steal her heart. Jack's mission behind enemy lines to prove that the mantle between Elsira and Lagramar is about to fall nearly cost him his life, but he is saved by the healing song of a mysterious young woman. Now he must do whatever it takes to save Elsira and its people from the true father, and he needs Jasminda's earth song to do it. They escape their vicious captors and together embark on a perilous journey to save Elsira and to uncover the secrets of the queen who sleeps. Thrust into a hostile society, Jasminda and Jack must rely on each other, even as secrets jeopardize their bond. As an ancient evil gains power, Jasminda races to unlock a mystery that promises salvation. The fates of 2 nations hang in the balance as Jasminda and Jack must choose between love and duty to fulfill their destinies and end the war. Just very, very quickly, I will say I enjoyed the story. And at the end of the story, I found myself being like, oh my goodness, I want to read the next book. It had for me, like there's a really powerful hero's journey. There was like the relationship between Jack and Jasminda was believable for me. I struggled at the beginning because the love between them, it's a heterosexual romance. And for me, I don't read a lot of heterosexual romances. I'm not particularly like excited about them. I feel like there's a lot of heterosexual romance in our lives. So for me, I was just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. But once I was able to kind of accept the story and accept that this is what I'm reading, I was just like, you know what? There are so many really interesting elements here that I want to explore. Jasminda is she's a powerful character. She is somebody who has had a lot of harm done to her, who has to deal with loneliness, who has to face like institutional strife and oppression. We meet her at the beginning of the story because she's in a post office, and in the post office she experiences like really harsh racism. And we see her holding her head strong and using a little bit of her magic to like put people in their place. And I was like, okay, I like that. And then she saves Jack, and I was like, oh, are we gonna fall into this kind of I'm a woman and I exist only to save this man? And while she does do a lot of saving, she is able to hold her own in that, and she doesn't do it in order and sacrifice herself at the same time. So she doesn't end up being like a sacrificial lamb for Jack. And she chooses herself. She has her own path. She has her own family connections and family mysteries that she needs to solve. She has her own quest, and she answers those questions along the way. She ends up being a bit of a hero at the end, and I think that is really, really powerful. Jack, on the other hand, as a character, was very principled and strategic, and he falls in love with Jasminda, but he's also quite troubled because he comes from a different land and a different world, and they aren't, as a couple, they're not supported at all. There's a lot of discrimination against Jasminda and her people, and so all of that is really, it's there. That tension is there. I loved the magic system in the story. That was really powerful for me. This goddess character, the queen who sleeps, like, that was amazing. And I love the idea of like a mystical, magical, all-powerful woman that people pray to, who is one day going to awaken, and when she does, amazing things are going to happen, or peace will be restored, or whatever. And so, for me, I was always wondering, like, when is that going to happen, and is this just a myth? And so there's an anxiety and anxiousness in the story that really got me moving through it. While we don't see this until the last quarter of the book, but there is a queer couple, and I was relieved, because I was like, oh, come on, please tell me that this is a world where not everybody is heterosexual, and it's not. So I understand that this couple will feature again in future books, so I do hope that happens. But I have to say, like, I have to really thank Raincoast Books, because, as you know, I don't read a lot of YA fantasy, and certainly YA fantasy with a heterosexual relationship as the central romantic relationship is not something I would ordinarily pick up. I literally got this book because Raincoast Books was like, if you like this, you might like this. Check it out. El Penelope is great, and you should like get into her work. And I'm really glad that I did. I am glad that I did, and I hope that I will have an opportunity to actually finish the series. As a slow reader, I have to be very I think conservative about my goals because it, as you know, it took a couple of years for me to get to this one. But I would definitely recommend Song of Blood and Stone if you are interested in black fantasy, if you enjoy romance as subplots, and if you like interesting magical systems. There's a lot of magic and power on page, and so it's not kind of one of those like subtle books, like it's sort of everywhere. And then there's also the connection between magic and politics and religion and ethnicity / race. It's all there for you if you want to get into this world. It very much is a first book. It sets out some of the main tensions between the Elsirians and the, I don't want to get it right, and the Lagramar, those two worlds. And I understand that as the series continues, there's even more of a battle between those worlds. So I think and it's a light touch on the politics. Like, it's not as intricately woven as, let's say, the politics in the Broken Earth series. Like it's like an accessible world with the society runs by rules that are similar to our own, and yet there's these elements of magic and fantasy that take us into Second World. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I will say, if you don't like YA and if you don't like romance, like if it really turns you off, I would say do not read this book, because there is the fluttery, romance. There is sex on page, and if that's something that turns you off, then try her historical fiction that's coming out in 2022. But yes, if those kinds of plot lines are comfortable for you and interesting for you and add a little sugar and honey to what you're reading, then I would definitely recommend it. If you've read Song of Blood and Stone, let me know what you think. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of if I've read anything that I would say would pair well with it. I will say that I enjoyed Song of Blood and Stone. If I think about the other YA books that I've read, River of Royal Blood, I read that one, and I enjoyed Song of Blood and Stone more than that one. Yeah, there really isn't a lot of YA that I've read that is comparable. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of comparators for it. As I said, I don't read a lot of YA. So, yeah, that is my review. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to shout out Brittany from Melanin Eclectic because she reads a lot of YA fantasy. And you should also just check her out because she's awesome. And remember to read with purpose. If you have come to the end of this video, then I would ask you to, in the comments, could you add to your comments something black, something blue, and something fuchsia or purple? That would be really great. And maybe something related to a song. So maybe some musical notes, maybe not blood, maybe a stone. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Remember to read with purpose, and I will see you next time. Bye.